Okay, so let's talk about this huge shift that's happening right under our noses. For years, the whole game was about building the biggest possible audience on the biggest platforms, right? Well, that era is coming to an end. The entire digital world is fracturing, and honestly, for those of us paying attention, that's where the real opportunity is. In this quote, it really says it all. The era of the everything app is fading. I mean, that's the fundamental truth we're working with here. The idea that one or two massive platforms can be everything to everyone, yeah, that's officially on its way out. The age of the digital monolith is over. So what comes next? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If these giants are starting to stumble, what's going to rise up and take their place? And here's the kicker. The answer isn't just another giant. No way. It's thousands, maybe even millions of smaller, super focused, and incredibly powerful communities. All right, so let's get into it. We're looking at a pretty specific turning point here, around the year 2026. Now, this isn't some random date. It's when this trend that we're already seeing is predicted to just hit critical mass. And it's all being driven by this fundamental change in how we all use the internet. And to really get this shift, you've got to look at the sheer scale first. 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's the average time someone spends on social media every single day. So the attention is there, for sure. It's massive. But, and this is the important part, how that attention is being spent is what's really changing. And then there's the other side of that coin, 7. That 2+ hours is spread across an average of 7 different platforms. Think about that. Nobody lives in just one single digital world anymore. Our attention is completely fragmented, and we're all looking for different things in different places. Okay, this is probably the most crucial point. The old behavior was just endless, mindless scrolling, right? But the 2026 behavior? It's all about intentional searching. We're moving from being passive consumers to active searchers. I mean, for younger generations, platforms like TikTok and Instagram aren't just for fun anymore. They've literally replaced Google. They're going there with a specific question, a specific problem, and they're looking for an answer from a real person. And that right there creates this huge opening for so many of us. The big opportunity is to become that expert source for, human-made authenticity. In a world that's about to be flooded with AI-generated everything, being a trusted human source of information, well, it's not just a nice-to-have, it's going to be your most valuable asset. This is the gap that the giant platforms are just too big and too broad to ever fill. So we've talked about the why. We get it. The world is changing. Now let's get into the how. This next part is the blueprint, the actual playbook. We're going to break down 3 core rules for anyone, and I mean anyone, who's looking to build something that actually lasts in this new landscape. All right, here they are, the 3 pillars of a modern, successful niche community. 1. Solve the classic discovery versus connection problem. 2. Prioritize what we're calling proof of humanity. And 3. Build for social SEO. So first, how do you get new people in the door without alienating your core fans? Second, how do you prove you're a real human in an increasingly artificial world? And third, how do you make sure the right people can even find you in the first place? Let's break each one down. Okay, rule number 1, discovery versus connection. You really need a 2-part strategy here. Think of discovery as your top of funnel. That's where you're using things like short-form video and social SEO to just pull people in from the big, noisy platforms. But connection? That's where you build the real loyalty. You use private forums, cozy chats. You pull them in with a hook, but you keep them with the community. That's where the magic happens. Next up, rule number 2, and this one is so important. Prioritize proof of humanity. So what does that even mean? Well, it's the unfiltered, unpolished, unscripted stuff, the undeniably real human interaction that an algorithm just can't fake. Seriously, in 2026, this is going to be the only currency that doesn't inflate. It is your ultimate competitive advantage. And look, it's way more achievable than you might think. If you're an individual creator, just go live. Do a Q&A, host an unedited Work With Me session, show your process, show the mistakes and all. And if you're a company, get out of the polished ad world, show the faces of your actual engineers, your designers, show the real people behind the product. That is what builds trust. And finally, rule number 3, build for social SEO. Remember what we said? People are actively searching on these platforms now. So a bad caption like, check out our new community, it's just useless. It does absolutely nothing for you. But a good caption? One that says something like, best community for your niche keyword hobbyists in 2026, how to solve a specific problem. Now that's how you get discovered. You literally have to start thinking like a search engine. Okay, let's make this even more personal now, because this strategy is definitely not one size fits all. How a big company should tackle this is going to be way different from how an individual creator or small business should. So let's look at the specific game plan for both. So this table kind of lays out the different playbooks. For companies, your primary goal is to become what's called a value center. And a key tactic is employee advocacy, getting your own people to build trust. But for individuals, your superpower is your agility and relatability. Your key tactic here is something called the 3-post rule. Basically, for every one post you make promoting your own thing, you should have 2 other posts that are just pure value or engagement on other platforms. It's all about giving value before you ever ask for anything. And when you look at monetization, companies can really lean on first-party data, the data they collect themselves. Creators, on the other hand, are going to thrive on a hybrid model, a mix of subscriptions, tips, digital downloads, that kind of thing. All right, this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and honestly, it might be the most important part, the mindset. Because this isn't about trying to build the next social media empire, not at all. It's about a really fundamental shift in what the goal of community even is anymore. And let's be super clear here. The technical hurdles to do this are lower than they have ever been. You don't need a massive team of coders. You can use amazing no-code tools like Circle or Mighty Networks or even just Discord to get started. The crucial thing is to focus on building what's called a portable audience. That just means an audience that's tied to something you actually own, like a newsletter or maybe even a crypto wallet, not just a bunch of followers on a platform that can change its algorithm tomorrow and totally wipe you out. And this right here, this is probably the single most important takeaway of this entire thing. The goal isn't to be the next Facebook. It's to be the digital clubhouse for a really specific group of people who feel kind of misunderstood everywhere else. It is not about scale, it's about specificity. It's about creating that safe, valuable space for your particular tribe. The goal is to be the one place where a specific group of people feels completely, totally understood. That becomes your moat. That's what no one can take from you. So as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. This isn't just some hypothetical trend we're talking about. This is a real active opportunity that's happening right now. So what specific niche or industry are you looking to target? What's the digital clubhouse that only you can build? What group of people out there is just waiting for a space that you can create for them?